Alright, hey YouTube, we're here in my office, and I wanted to make a video about what I do, what I did do to be able to afford all the stuff that you see in the videos. This is a video that is probably going to be broken up into more than one part, and I'm hungover from yesterday's festivities, so I hope everybody had a great Christmas. It's the day after Christmas right now, and I'm hurting, man. I'm feeling like shit, but um, still was out and about today. Um, but anyway, what do I do? I'm an internal auditor. Um, I'm a certified internal auditor. I've been certified since October 2011. Um, and I made all my money at a very large financial institution that I worked at for 7 years. Um, I'm not there anymore. I just ended that relationship. That just ended 3 months ago. And what I've been doing lately is, fortunately, I had enough money saved that a gap in employment is not a disaster for me. It's actually quite fun. I'm having time to make videos and do things like this, and um, explore other creative channels such as doing this YouTube thing and Instagram. If you haven't checked me out on Instagram, it's hashtag AnthonyRon82 at Instagram, and there's a link up in the video somewhere up on my channel. Um, but yeah, I was an internal auditor from starting in 2005. That's when I became an internal auditor, and I was working at a manufacturing company that I can't name, but I worked. It was a global company, so I ended up traveling to Japan, a lot of regional travel. Went to California, stuff like that. But what I'm trying to say is, I got a degree in finance. I have a bachelor's degree in finance. So if you want to go way back, year 2000, I graduated from a preparatory, St. Francis Prep. Um, that you see some pictures on Instagram. I give $1,000 a year to them because I think they've given a lot to me to make me who I am today. From there, I went to a college called Canisius College here in Buffalo, New York. It's a top-notch regional college. In fact, I applied to the University of Buffalo and I got rejected um, because in high school I kept my marks just good enough to get by, right? C's, occasional D's. I would say I probably had a GPA of 2.5. So never was the high GPA guy. Um, why? Because I didn't think you needed to be, and I'm proof positive of that now. So anyway, I got my first job as an internal auditor. I was probably making $35,000. That was what I was making. That was in 2005. So obviously that's not money to buy you Hermes or Rolls Royces or anything like that. But it's a start, right? So I worked as an internal auditor for 5 straight years, and then they approached me and they said, "Hey Anthony, we think you might be a good systems analyst." So there's a product called SAP, and I was actually very. I'm also certified in PeopleSoft ERP systems, and if you don't know what an ERP system, just look it up. Enterprise Resource Planning. It's what big businesses run on. It's how they do their accounts payable, their accounts receivable, how they generate their financial statements, their statement of cash flows, their income statement, all that stuff. So they approached me and they told me, Anthony, we can certify you if you go to this boot camp, so SAP boot camp. So this company footed the bill to the tune of about $13,000 to get me to become a certified application associate. And I'm looking around because I have the certification somewhere in my office here. But if you could see my office, you could see that I'm a certified internal auditor. There's my CIA certificate and my bachelor's degree and my master's degree, but we'll get to that. So yeah, like a lot of these YouTube channels are all they focus on is small businesses. Like that's the only way you can get rich, and that's the only way you can make money. Do you know that managing directors at Goldman Sachs make millions of dollars a year? They make millions of dollars a year for talking. It's what's in here that counts. So I'll tell you what, guys. A lot of people like to dog on college and say it's a waste of money and stupid, and you're not going to get anywhere with it. But I'll tell you what, I'm proof that you can. Okay, so if you're early on in your college career and you're wondering what to major in, but you know you want to make a lot of money, I'd say give finance and accounting a try. Accounting is even better than finance in some respects because most jobs will say accounting or finance degree. Like my first internal auditing job, they wanted an accounting finance bachelor's degree, and I had just graduated, and I was working at a company. I think I was working at a company called Sonitrol Security. I could throw that out there because it was so long ago. I worked at Sonitrol Security while I was in college. So guys, instead of partying and drinking, I was working and making money. I've been doing that since I was a kid, and it's stuck with me my whole adult life now. So I'm 30 now. I'm 36 years old. I'll be 37 next month, and I'm basically a millionaire. And that was all made possible through, like I've said in my prior videos, real estate investing, stock market investing, just being smart with your money and having a big income. Don't forget that Dave Ramsey says your biggest debt, your biggest tool for making wealth building tool is your income, and it is. So anyway, I was making $35,000. I was getting okay raises, and this company just paid lower than the market. So the whole time I was there, I was always just like, shit, I can make. There's these internal auditor jobs, these senior internal auditor jobs that require a few years of experience, and they're making like 80,000, and here I am making 35. So when SAP came along, they paid $13,000 to get me certified. I went into SAP Finance and Controlling. I was FICO certified, and they offered me $60,000. So pretty good though. You went from 35,000 to 60 in 5 years. So at that point, I'm living in Buffalo, New York. So it's a low cost of living city. So I'm thinking I'm making good money. I'm gonna buy my first house. So the year was 2008. The housing crisis had just happened, and I found a house on Grand Island, which is a place that a lot of people like to talk trash about because you have to. There's only one way on it and one way off it, which is the Grand Island bridges. But I fell in love with Grand Island. I fell in love with this house. I bought it for $140,000, I think, and I jumped on that first time home buyer tax credit that the Obama administration had at the time. So that was $8,000. So when I did my taxes that year, I had an $8,000 credit, not a deduction. And if you don't know about how taxes work, basically, if you get a credit, that's like tacking on whatever your my income tax return that year was $4,000. Well, now it's $12,000. And what did I do with that money? I probably saved it. I don't really remember exactly what I did. But I stayed in that house for 5 years. And they say after 5 years, make a big change in your life, shake it up. If you're doing the same thing in year 7 that you were doing 7 years ago, you might say, hey, maybe it's time to mix things up. So anyway, I bought that house. And I'll tell you what, when I bought that first house, we were broke. I mean, I wasn't in debt, but I was broke. Oh yeah, by the way, my dad paid for my bachelor's degree, and my company paid for my MBA. So huge advantage right there, and I know that. So, but to all those people that say you only got what you want, what you have because your dad paid for your college, well, that drove me. I don't like hearing that. I'm so sick of hearing that. I still hear it to this day, but it gives you a head start. But I'll tell you what, if you had that opportunity afforded to you, if your father says, I'm going to pay for your college, would you take it? Or would you say, no, Dad, I want to go in debt for $100,000 and then try to buy a house? No. So that house was made possible in large part to my father. So God rest his soul. But anyway, so I'm in this house. I'm very good with numbers, so I just take how much am I making? At the time, I was probably making, I was still an internal auditor, so I was probably making $45,000 a year, and I had just bought a $145,000 house. I was very proud of myself. But we were on a shoestring budget. You watch every penny, never missed a mortgage payment, never had any problems. And while I was living there, the International World Bank that came to me, that I'm not going to mention by name, came and offered me the first offer was like $90,000 or $80,000. I'm making 60. So I was just like, oh my God, I can increase my income by 50% by making that move. It's the best move I made my entire life. So once that happened, I had a lot more money. I was flush with cash, and I thought, hey, I was doing a lot of traveling. Once I got there, world travel, 2014, I hit 3 countries. I was in Mexico City. I was in Mumbai, India, and Curitiba, Brazil. So this company is just, sent me everywhere, and you never say no. You never say no to a challenge. I've done presentations to 500 people at the audit department, the WebEx. So you got to be a outgoing person. I might seem a little low key, but when it comes down to it, to my job and my money, I'm serious as can be. So I'm serious about making money, guys. So when I finally fast forward 7 years, so I started there at 80. I left there at 140. So I'm getting $140,000 a year. And by that time, for the last couple of years, I've been almost maxing out my 401k contribution. The IRS allows you to put away $18,000 a year in your 401k. I was almost doing that. Because when you think about it, it was only a single digit percentage of my earnings, and it's piled up to that much money because I was making that much. But anyway, so I was making all this money, and I decided let's upgrade the house. So sold the house at a profit. I bought it for $145, and I think I sold it for $175. So there's a nice $30,000 real estate bonus, right? Put it down on the next house. One thing that I advise you guys that we did on this one: don't pay PMI, private mortgage insurance. I was paying $300 a month in private mortgage insurance at my old house because I didn't put 20% down. So I said, we're going to put 20% down. My budget for the next house, depending on what the taxes are, because that drives things incredibly here. I said my budget was $500,000 to $700,000. I think I was approved for a loan of $700,000. Look at me. I mean, I lived in my parents' house until I was 26, but now I live in an 8,500 square foot mansion. But how did I do this? And I'm explaining to you guys, just through a combination of hard work, staying employed. I never reached a period of unemployment. I've never been unemployed in my entire life until the last 3 months ago. So that probably explains a lot of this activity that's going on. Let me just make sure this is still recording. Just see. Okay, we're at 12 minutes. So if this is sounding a little long in the tooth, I'm sorry, guys, but there's a lot that went in to the career that I built. Since going back to it really started in 2005. So this is not a get rich quick scheme. This is 2005 to 2015. This is 13 years of a career. So a 13-year career enabled me to buy. So my second house was $275,000, and I sold the one for $175. I bought a house for $275. So at the time, it was a pretty good upgrade. I was doing a lot of traveling. I was going to the United Kingdom a lot, and like I said, all that global travel. My first job, they sent me to Tokyo, which is a great experience. So if you get the opportunity to travel, guys, and put all this international experience on your resume, do it. If you want to check me out on LinkedIn, my life's out there. I'm on LinkedIn, Anthony R. Frasica. Check me out. So anyway, bought that second house, stayed there for 5 years, got totally sick of not having land and not having privacy, and just a slew of other reasons that pushed me to get out of that house. But people ask me, Anthony, why can't this be forever home? It was a 2,800 square foot Murano builder's grade house that was in a tightly knit subdivision. But I mean, tightly knit meaning, I got sick of things like every Wednesday at 2:00 in the afternoon, the generator next door turns on because I could hear it because it's right next to my wall. These houses were spaced probably 20 feet apart. Now we're 100 feet apart. So I said, let's look for a new house over the summer. That was the job. And we found this one. Little bit of rough around the edges, but I think that's the way I like to roll, and I'll take care of things myself. This house doesn't have new bathrooms. It has a spectacular kitchen that sold me on it right off the bat. And the houses across the street, one down the street, sold for $1 million. So there's $1 million houses on this street. I bought in for 527. So 527. I put $100,000 down, which is 20%, and that got me into this place, and it's here we are today. So now I'm looking to find another job. I've been actively interviewing and got some interest by some other blue chip companies and large names out there that I know you've heard of if you're a finance accounting guy like me. But yeah, so that's kind of how I made myself what I am today, and I'm gonna go into more details on how you can do the same thing. But my advice to you guys is pick that major carefully. If I majored in underwater basket weaving, I wouldn't have gotten that auditing job. If I wasn't good at auditing, I wouldn't have gotten the job at the bank. If I wasn't good at the bank, I wouldn't have been making $140,000 a year. So that's what you guys got to do. I was making $20,000 bonus. I had a base of $115,000 plus a $25,000 bonus, so that's $140,000. And yeah, and that's kind of the level that I'm looking at. I'm probably gonna find a job that'll pay me probably $200,000, but and I'm sitting in a house that's the Zestimate on Zillow for this house is like $650,000. And I fixed the sprinkler system. I'm, cleaning it up. And what else did I do? I removed a tree stump. These little things add up. I cleaned up we're going to resurface the tennis court, but I at least power washed it to start with. But yeah, just taking care of this house. If we ever do have to cash out, we can. I mean, I'm sitting on $100,000 equity already from day one. So it's kind of my story, guys. If you like this video, please subscribe because I'm trying to grow my base, and hit that like button. Thank you, guys. Have a good one. Merry Christmas.